Well, hello, good day, and welcome back to the Certified Jordan channel. Today in the shop, it's like usually a bit of a mess. It is an absolute unbearable 36 degrees outside in South Africa today. And for today, we are planning to paint the section of the shop floor. I have already removed everything that's in the way here, all the motorcycles. Just quickly feast your eyes on this havoc going on in the shop. This is just because we need to be able to get to this floor. I'm going to sweep this floor, then I'm going to wash this floor with pool acid. I know it's a bit unorthodox, but trust me, that takes care of any oil left on this floor. Obviously, as you know, we do fork seals, we do services, we do a lot of different oily bits and messes on this floor. So we want any type of oil washed off this floor. So let's get this floor swept, let's get it washed. Then we need to leave it a while to naturally dry and cure, and then we're going to paint it with a proper paving paint. Same color though, but we're going to paint it and get it nice and clean. Alright guys, now that the floor has been swept nice and clean, I'm going to go ahead and mix my pool acid. This is a product that we will be using. Been using it for quite some time. I'm going to dilute this with normal tap water. We're going to smear it around here and you'll see it bubble up and having a chemical reaction if there's any oil or untreated concrete, where it will actually etch the surface and make it nice and prepared for paint. So I'm going to go right ahead and get that done right now. Let me tell you guys, it is extremely uncomfortable and hot today. We're having a bit of a, most probably a heat wave. It's hotter than it usually is by at least 2 to 3 degrees. We are in December now. It's early December 2024. Now, it's not by any way or means cold in South Africa by this time of the year, but this additional 2 to 3 degrees Celsius is really killing us. It's bad, it's hot. But nevertheless, let me get my bucket of water so we can get this process started. I've got about this amount of water in here. We don't want the floor absolutely drenched. We just want to make sure that it's chemically washed. I'll go ahead and add about 150 milliliters of this into the normal tap water, and then we'll be ready to pour it out on the floor and broom it in with a broom. Alright guys, the floor is washed, chemically washed. So now we're going to wait for it to dry naturally. We have to leave it to naturally dry. And then thereafter we will be able to give it a fresh coat of paint. As you can see there in the bottom, there's some paint drips there because I'm mixing my paint when we spray paint there. So there's a lot of paint there that's dripped there, and a lot of motorcycle stands taking the paint off, and there's some white drips of paint everywhere, and just normal wear and tear on the floor. So I've painted the garage floor around a year ago. It does take quite a beating. I think if the channel grows enough, maybe it will be a good option to opt for a proper epoxy floor throughout the entire garage. But we'll see how it goes. I've been painting my garage floor for quite some time. It is not really, how can I put it, it's not really the best solution. As you can see, it does wear down with time. Even the heat from tires lifts up the paint. As you can see right in the front there, you can see a tire wall against a tire mark against the wall, and then you can see there where the heat of the tires actually lifts up the paint. When you come in after a long ride and you park the bike in the garage, it's like the paint becomes soft and it sticks against the motorcycle tire. So well, it's not the best solution, but it does work. I don't like a raw concrete floor. I like to have my floors painted. But let's wait for this floor to dry up, and then we'll start the painting process. So guys, here is the floor chemically washed. We have some yellowing around that edge there and just around that little small wall there. However, that's not going to bother me too much. I'm going to take this opportunity to make this decent again. So let me bring you in a bit lower. I'm going to put you on a time lapse. I'm going to start by cutting with my brush all around the edges nicely, and then we'll hit it with the roller. So onto the time lapse you go. So guys, I have decided to go through the effort of painting the entire shop floor. I think at the end of the day, it was the right decision to make, and it's going to look so much better. In due course, we will also then paint the garage walls. I'm going to move away from PVA on the walls. I'm going to go for an oil-based enamel, which is much more durable paint, and I will also be able to then clean it using solvents and things and degreaser, which you cannot do on the PVA. So I will go for the enamel in white, or maybe a very light grey, and that will also give us a bit more reflection. However, it might look a bit corny, but it will also help a lot with lighting for video creation purposes. So I'm going to just finish up repacking everything where it should be and so forth, and then I'll catch up with you just now. Alright guys, so with that section and the section of the shop floor still being wet, I'm now going to shift my focus to the area where the floor is already dry. We're going to paint this bottom section from here all the way this way to the corner and back, and maybe even just around the bend. We're going to paint in a white enamel. I know it's not everybody's taste, it's not my own taste either. However, being here where we work on motorcycles and we spill oil and it drips and it splatters and whatever you may have, I think it makes the most sense to do this section in a nice gloss white, not grey, white, because it's going to eliminate tire marks against the walls. It's going to eliminate smears and drips and all of that. I'll be able to spray the wall with degreaser and wipe it off with a cloth. So as you can see here, and then in the corner, we do have some paint flaking. So I'm going to now take that flaky paint off and see what it looks like beneath the flake. We do not have a damp problem, that at least I'm sure of. So I'll just see what it looks like behind the flakiness. If needs be, then I'll put a layer of filler in there, and then we'll start painting the section, and then for now the garage will be completed. The rest of the garage from this corner here up and that way, we're going to paint in a light grey color. That is not going to happen now though. That will happen a bit later, as time is going to catch me out. So let's get that done, and I'll put you on a time lapse, and then you can sit and laugh at me while I'm doing all the hard work and you sipping away at a cup of coffee. Cool. Alright guys, so what we have going on here is we have one nice thick coat. I'm sure you couldn't have really seen it in the hyperlapse, the time lapse, but I put it on slow and thick. One nice slow and thick coat. I'm now going to give it at least an hour to flash off. Then I'll come back and feel what it feels like. If it's still tacky, I'm going to give it another hour. I want it to be at least 90% dry before I put the second coat on. And the reason for that is with enamel, if you don't wait until it's dry, your top coat just wettens and lifts up the first coat. So at the end of the day, if you did not have a nice fully cured first coat, what you're going to end up with is a 1 3/4 coat after your second coat. So it's worth it to give it a proper flash of time, wait the time it takes for it to properly cure, and then the results are just so much better. So I'll catch up with you very soon. Okay guys, I've already went ahead and did all the cut work all around the edges and everywhere around the window and everything. So now I'm going to give it a second coat. It's 2.5 hours later. The paint is nice and dry actually. It's not tacky at all. It's completely dry. And I'm going to now give it the second coat. Let's hope it's the final coat. I'm not too much of a painting lover, so hopefully it's a final coat. If not, I'll do the effort and give it a third coat. Okay guys, with that then the walls are done. You can see my walls are nicely painted. 3 coats. I wasn't happy with this, I wasn't happy with the coverage, so I decided to go ahead and take the effort and just put a third coat on. It's still tacky and sticky and wet. However, I'm very happy with the way it came out. 100% covered, and the more it dries, the more it's going to cover as well. So this is 100% coverage, which I'm very happy with. However, you'll notice that I spilled quite a lot of paint on my newly painted floor. And yes, you are correct. I should have painted the walls before I painted the floor. However, the idea was not to paint the walls, so I got the floor paint and I went ahead with that, and then I decided to just bite the bullet and get the walls painted as well. So what I'm going to have to end up doing now is I'm going to sweep out here, wash the floor, leave it to dry, and then I'm going to give it another 2 coats of grey. I have to. I can't leave it like this. It's not the type of work that I do, and I'm not happy with that. So let's get into that then. You know guys, as I'm painting this, I'm thinking, yeah, that's a lot of extra work now for me. to put another 2 coats of paint on this floor. However, it might not all be for a useless cause, as this is now going to be layer number 4 and 5. Yeah, it's coat number 4 and 5 I'm putting on here now. So, having said that, might not all be such a bad thing. Might all work out just fine. This paint I'm using is a Krugerstop Paint Center paint product. Been using their paint all my life. Very good quality. Not necessarily much cheaper than your Plascons or your Dulux or your more well-known, more established brands. However, it's a very good product. It's a local product to me. It's a South African product. And it is a very good product. Now, this is a roof paint. It's a roof paint PVA, but it's got some more pigment in it and it's got some more elasticity built into the paint. So it's a bit more rubbery. See if I can find, maybe let me quickly see on the paint tin. Yeah, here's a piece I can show you. So you'll see here, it's a bit more rubbery. So it's more elastic and it lasts longer. I must say, I must give credit where credit is due. On paving, this stuff is unbeatable. In a garage floor, yeah, it's not that great. Remember, your paving bricks are coarse and porous, so they absorb the paint. This is a smooth cement floor, which, I mean, you can just think to yourself what happens when you put a motorcycle steel side stand on this stuff. It takes it off. So you can't expect the paint to stick. So that's a reason why I told you about the paint that I'm using, the rubbery portion of it. However, it's great for paving. I'm not so sure that is the best product for this type of floor. So, I've painted the entire garage. I'm not going to repaint the entire garage. I'm just going to give this section another 2 coats, or another one now. But what I wanted to say to you is, epoxy flooring to me is the most fantastic thing ever invented. I would absolutely love to have an epoxy floor in here, but I can't afford that. That's as simple as that. It's expensive. I know it's lifetime, but it is way too expensive. I can tile my entire house 3 times over for the price of an epoxy floor in this double garage. So that's not going to happen anytime soon. So my second best option would be to opt for the same color paint, but maybe the epoxy version of this type of paint. Now, I know Krugerstop Paint Center does not make an epoxy version of this paint, but there are variable or various vendors that does make an epoxy infused floor paint or garage or shop paint for shop floors. So I think next time around, in about a year, maybe 2 years time, I will maybe opt for that and see how that works out for me. But I'll keep you guys up to speed on that. I'm going to stand back a while for this this first coat or fourth coat to cure, or to just to flash off a bit. I'm going to give it another 20 minutes or so. Then I'll come in and we'll put the fifth and final top coat on. And then I'm going to have to give this at least 12 hours to fully cure and dry before I can put a motorcycle on here or anything like that. So my garage has been an absolute horrific nightmare for a couple of days. This floor, I've been busy with this section here for 4 days now. Before that, we had a lot of motorcycles in here that I was busy working on. So, and behind the camera, guys, we have a little Suzuki scooter we're working on, a 100cc two-stroke. We have a Triumph 675 Daytona triple that will come to the channel real soon. It's right behind you. What I want to do with this, the starter packed up on this motorcycle, and we took the starter out and sent it in for repairs. But what I want to do is I want to just put the tank on, put the side fairings on in the seat, so that I can show you the bike before we start to do anything to it. Remember, this bike, as mentioned before, it's coming in for quite a lot of work. It's also getting brand new paint all over. It's getting newly painted wheels. There's quite a lot of damage on the plastics and broken pieces and snapped off pieces that we need to repair. I've had some newer, the more modern decals made for it, so that's going to go on below the clear coat. And then there might be a surprise with the clear coat for you. But that's going to all happen. Then my Sun CBR 1000R, the Fireblade Project Midnight, that's also standing here, also with a blown starter. So that starter is also in for repairs. And then I'm getting a NC 750 again in this afternoon, which I must quickly look at. So yes, guys, it's busy. I'm busy. I'm trying to get this done. My garage, my workbench, everything's a mess. I can't find any tools. But we have to have it this way before we can have it nicely set up and clean and painted and everything. So that's a bottom line. All right, I'll see you now when we do the final and fifth top coat on this floor. Guys, I have just put on a seriously thick coat of paint on that floor. A very thick, wet coat. I'm hoping it's gonna dry. We'll see what it's gonna look like. Let me see if I can bring you guys in. Let me see if I can bring you guys in. There's the walls. Nicely done. Floor. We've got a new member to the family here, a fridge. Guys, I don't even want to show you this, but let me. Triumph, CBR, bike parts, fuel, triple parts, my bike, white paint. That's a mess. As you can see, my entire garage is not usable at the moment. Oh, there's a little other project that we are working on. Guys, please don't think this is a way that I like to work. I never work like this, but difficult time call for the difficult measures. we do what we need to do, eh? So next time you see my video, it will be today, when I show you the finished product in the garage, and my garage will be perfectly clean. Alright, to wrap things up in the garage and the upgrades and the things, we have one last thing to go in for this round of upgrades. Eventually we'll put this rubber floor throughout the entire place, but that's still going to take some time for that to happen. So let's get the final section of what we're going to do here in here, so I can show you what we're going to do now. And forgive me if I seem a bit sweaty. It is 7:45. It's the 27th of December. The sun has just gone down completely. It rained and it is hot. We're in Africa, South Africa, but it's still Africa. It's hot, it's humid. Even in Gauteng, it's humid. But let me get that section in here so you can see what we're up to. Okay guys, I have built this piece because this workbench of mine, to me, it doesn't feel sturdy enough. So I've built this piece. I've just painted it. And also I did not weld it here. I welded it at a friend's house. So it hasn't even been test fitted yet. It's still a bit tacky. I just spray painted the frame. But I want to talk to you about something. Just quickly, grinders. Guys, please. This tool, if used incorrectly, becomes a lethal weapon. And I'm not referring to this brand or anything. I'm referring to any type of grinder. If you take this tool and work with it, you have to wear one of these. It's compulsory. Guys, I've had a project that I was working on, and what I've done was I was grinding. It was definitely a piece of steel, mild steel. I was grinding away or cutting a piece of angle iron, and the shaving went into my eye. And of being the tough guy around, I said, man, let's leave it, It will come out eventually. Guess what? It did not. It stayed in my eye. And because your eye is wet, it started to rust inside of my eye. The doctor had to physically drill it out of my eye. And guys, that was not pleasant. So please, if you use any kind of power tool, always wear the correct protective equipment. All right, now back to the project. The two bolts that holds my vise onto this foot section here has already been removed. So the foot section at this moment is purely holding up the bench. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to have to remove my drawers here temporarily for now. And then I'll have to make like a spacer for them so that they can slide underneath the section. So I'll have to add them later. But for now, I'm just going to take them out. Then I think what I'll do is I'll take this foot and put it in the middle, a bit back, but in the middle, just to hold the whole thing up. And then we'll slide this underneath. And then let me just show you that section. Let me take my camera out here. I've had these little sections welded in there, so I can put a roll bolt in there. The back of this bench is lying on a piece of metal, so I'm not too worried about the ends, because it's not going to really carry any weight. It's just going to hold the bench to the wall. But yes, so these things, you'll see this adapter type of thing here, that's just to make space for the bolts of my vise. So because the bolts are going to go through here, they're quite long. I'll eventually cut them off, but even if I did cut them off flush, we still had to have this anyway. So I just made a bracket for that. So I'm going to put you guys on a time lapse, and then I'm going to move to getting these drawers removed, get that black foot, this one, moved back, and then I'm going to move this one to the middle section here somewhere. And then we'll take it from there. So with that then, viewers, this part of the garage update is also now complete, and this is 1000% more sturdy than it was before. So I'm very happy with that. It turned out great. It looks good. It's strong. That's the ultimate goal for this, is to be stronger. So I'm happy with that. The result is good in my books. So that is it for this episode, and thanks for bearing with me and watching me work my butt off. But we got a lot done, and now we're ready to take on some other projects. See you in the next one. Be safe.